Everyone's favorite JP player, Tokido, is back from CEO. He did really well there. I'm not going to say what happened in case you didn't see it, but he's back and he has a new tier list for us here in year 4. And I'm here to translate it for you guys because, of course, it's only in Japanese. Now, this isn't just Tokido's tier list. He also did with his TopangaTV teammates, Gachikun and Mago. Now, I know I got this blurred out right now, but that's because I know everyone just skips ahead to see the results, but I have a couple of important notes before we check this actual tier list. So, note number 1. So they said that they think it's really difficult to make a tier list for this game because the separation of like character power between like S and F is like really small. Point number 2, C tier is what they consider to be mid tier. That's like your mid-level, like, you know, just generally balanced character. Point number 3, this tier list is made based on their concept of what the current meta is. And if you guys don't know, in Japan, they think year 4 is like the year of the Shoto. So like, you know, standard Shoto characters, Ryu, Ken, Akuma, that kind of stuff. And then it's also based on how stable and how easy is it to win at international tournaments. And then the last point I need to make is tier D. Tier D is like the you're going to hit a wall at some point in your tournament life character. So they said no matter how hard you practice with this character, no matter how good you get, you can make like top 8, but you probably can't win because the character is just going to hold you back when you are fighting top tier level talent at an international like top level tournament. Okay, so that little note over with, here we go. Here's the tier list. 3, 2, 1, ta-da! That's it. I can already imagine how many people are going to be in the comments right now freaking out. But yeah, that is their tier list. Probably no surprise to nobody, Ryu in the top spot. This character is absolutely ridiculous right now. So I'm going to go into this in order, starting from S tier all the way to F tier. Keep in mind that they were actually like kind of skimpy about what they had to say about each character. So if I don't have too much information, it's because they didn't give it. All right, so let's start in order. Let's go with Ryu. So they say Ryu is a clear S tier in this game. He can do everything. Mago says he thinks he's not just S tier, he thinks he's the #1 best character in the game, probably again to the surprise of nobody. But there isn't really a clear gap between Ryu and the other S tier characters. He's just the best, but he's not like obscenely the best, according to him. And both Tokido and Gachikun agreed with him. Then they started asking, like, is this the first time Ryu has been like a clear #1 in any Street Fighter title? And it might just be. He's been strong in the past, but not like #1. So that might be a first. And then they basically go on to say that Ryu, he's not strong because of like 1 or 2 things. Like, yeah, he has Hoshogeki, yeah, he has high damage, but he's strong because he's like perfect Street Fighter 6 the character. He does everything you need to do in Street Fighter 6 and abuses like every part of the system perfectly. And that's why they think he's the #1 character. All right, and the next S tier character is hitting the like and subscribe button on this video to help support me. I spent my whole night after work translating this for you guys. So you know what to do. Hit that button. I always laugh when I say this because I feel weird saying it, but it helps me more than you know. So you know what to do. All right, next, let's go to Elena. So I think Elena is probably the character that's going to surprise most of the viewers here, and that's because Japan has always rated her really highly since the last patch, and she got nothing but buffs in this one. And unfortunately, they didn't explain why she's really good, but I will just tell you that I know the Japanese players say she got buffs, and she's really good at fighting the Shotos, so she's good anti-meta because she can fight like Ryu and Mai and Terry and Luke really well. So they rate her very highly. She did get some really good buffs. I think we're going to be seeing more of her, and if you haven't tried Elena out, give her a try. I think she's a really solid character. I don't know if she's S, but she's good. So give her a shot. She's also pretty fun. All right, everyone's favorite character, the one that it puts a smile on your face when you're sitting in ranked at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday in your underwear, Mai. So despite getting nerfed every single patch since she came out, they think she's still a top S tier character. Now, she did lose the invulnerability on her level 1, and all 3 of the guys here, they said that was a huge thing, but she's still stronger than the rest of the A tiers, according to them. And she's gotten nerfed every patch, but she also gets some little buffs, and Tokido said her crouching heavy punch right now is really crazy. They said it's very strong. So yeah, that's their placing for Mai. She lost her level 1, but she still plays really good Street Fighter 6. All right, the next character, Blanka. They didn't really explain much on this character. Tokido says he thinks Blanka is an A tier character, but that's based on him being a JP main. So if like from a JP main perspective, he doesn't think Blanka's S. When you think of it in like terms of a whole picture for the rest of the cast, yeah, he's probably still S. So yeah, I think Blanka's still a really strong character. They do too. And again, I wish they gave more information, but they didn't. So yeah, Blanka is in S tier still, according to them. All right, so we're done with the S tier. Let's go to A tier, and let's start with Guile. So according to Tokido and Gachikun, they think Guile is either low S or high A, but they ended up settling on high A placement for him. They said in the last patch that target combo buff he got, the crouching medium kick, crouching medium punch that causes the bounce into his light flash kick, was really good for him, and he's just a really stable character, especially in tournaments, and that's why he got the top A placement. All right, next, Tokido's main character, another character I know you guys love fighting in ranked, JP. They made his amnesia much weaker, so if you don't know what happened, if you throw JP in the corner when you are +5 on a knockdown, he used to be able to do OD amnesia and throw you back in the corner in that situation, but he lost that. He can't throw you back in the corner. It's not guaranteed anymore. And the whole Japanese Street Fighter 6 community is basically really dropping his overall placement from the previous S tier to like A high B-ish. I think it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I think the character is still really, really good, but Japan seems to be a little bit doomer on JP ever since that nerf. But I don't know, Tokido did really well with him post-nerfs at CEO, so I don't think it matters that much. On that note, Tokido still thinks he's an S tier character, but Mago and Gachikun kind of disagreed with them, so they settled on like a high A placement. And unfortunately, they didn't give much of an explanation with that. Tokido didn't really push him back on that, but yeah, Tokido thinks he's S, but the other two think he's high A, so they settled with that. All right, Terry. Again, I think most people understand that Terry's a really good character in the last patch, and he's still a good character in the Year 4 patch. He got a little bit of a nerf on that standing medium punch. He has more whiff recovery, but he got some nice quality of life changes too, so he's still the strong Terry that we all know. So according to them, they say Terry can do everything, and he's a great character for strong players to express themselves with. Tokido said the better you are as a player and the better you are as a Terry player, the better you can perform with him in a tournament. And we've been seeing that lately, especially with Boost. He's been doing really well with this character, and Boost is a very like technical, surgical kind of player. You know, he labs a lot, and you know, he does really well with Terry. So I think that assessment from Tokido makes a lot of sense. Tokido also said two interesting things about Terry. He said, number one, he said he's a deeper character than Luke. And then he also said if he hadn't already decided on playing JP, he'd be a Terry player. All right, and with this next one, we are going to Memphis, everyone's new rebuffed character, Luke. So Luke has gotten a ton of buffs in this new patch, and I actually made a video about that, so you can check that out here if you want to know more about what actually happened to Luke. So the Japanese Street Fighter 6 community is going absolutely crazy over this character right now. They think he's like one of the best characters in this game, not just from this tier list, but like everybody in the scene is saying Luke, 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 and everyone's switching to Luke. Like all the old Sagat and like Akuma players are just going back to him. And for this placement, Tokido said from a JP player perspective, he thinks Luke is S tier, but Gachikun and Mago said, nah, he's A, and they didn't, and again, Tokido, the guy he is, he didn't push back on it, and they settled on a high A placement for Luke. Okay, so we're done with the A tier, and let's go to the first character in B tier, C.Viper, another character who got a lot of buffs, not like actually like huge buffs, like she got some better things with her light knuckle, and they made her execution a lot easier, and that kind of plays into their placement. So she is high B, but all three of the players said that if she's played perfectly, like execution-wise on paper, she's an A-tier character. But because it's hard to actually play her perfectly in tournament, PS5, they put her in B. The reason for the B placement, other than just the actual execution difficulties, is having no meterless reversal and a weak level 1 super really hurts her in a tournament setting, according to these guys. Okay, next is Zangief, and actually I want to show you guys a clip of this and why Zangief is considered to be a really good character. So according to Tokido, Gachikun, and Mago, one of the most important things about Zangief's high placement here is his tournament stability. They said that Zangief gets pretty good results in tournaments, and he's easy to play in a stable way now in the Year 4 buff. So why is that exactly? So let me load up the game and show you. All right, so previous to the Year 4 buff, the one thing that Zangief really struggled with was meter management, because at far distances, what Zangief basically has to do to whiff punish you is standing light kick on reaction to key moves. So in the previous patch in Year 3, in order to get a punish here on these kind of whiff punishes, you have to rely on this, the OD version of double lariat, because the regular version of lariat wouldn't work at max range, it would drop. So anytime he wanted to go for a whiff punish, which is key to his game, he had to spend 2 bars of meter, or he would have to commit to doing like a drive rush cancel to get even more damage. So Zangief was always kind of like playing from behind in the drive meter war, and it was really hard to actually manage your meter effectively with this character at high level. But in Year 4, they made a change that's much easier for you to actually land the normal double lariat here. See that connected? So at this spacing, this would not have connected in the previous patch. It only works now. So now, when Zangief is playing his main whiff punish game with standing light kick, he doesn't have to commit to spending 2 bars on this anymore, because he can just go for the regular version and it still combos and that really alleviated his biggest pain point from the previous version. All right, next up is Rashid, and Gachikun basically said that Rashid did really well in tournaments in the previous years, but lately not so much. And I know you guys are going to say, but wait, Dual Kevin's been doing really well, and he has been, but I think what Gachikun means is like winning premier tournaments, which unfortunately for Dual Kevin, he hasn't done yet. As far as I know, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I think Dual Kevin's a sick player, but maybe my tournament knowledge is a little bit lacking, but I don't think he's won anything huge lately yet with that character. They don't really go into any detail as to why they put him in B, other than like they think he's better than the characters in the C tier, but not as good as the characters in the A tier, which is kind of an obvious thing to say, like, yeah, thanks, but yeah, that's it for Rashid, unfortunately. That's all I got for you guys. Okay, Ed, the last character in the B tier. So they think he's still okay after the nerfs. Not like a great character, just like B. But what Tokido said is like the hardest thing about Ed after the nerfs is still having the motivation to keep playing him as an Ed player. It's so sad, I know, but that's what he said. So if you're an Ed player, let me know in the comments. Do you feel a lack of motivation for keep on playing this character after he keeps on getting nerf after nerf after nerf? I would if I was an Ed player, that's for sure. And the last thing they said about Ed is that he still, despite all the nerfs, has great reach, which seems kind of obvious, but in Japan, for the Street Fighter 6 players here, they really highly value reach in this game. They think reach is one of the most important tools you can have, and because he has good reach, they still think he's in the B tier. All right, moving on to the C tier, and this is another question mark one from me, Jamie at the top of C, and even they said they're not sure about Jamie because he got a lot of buffs. I mean, he keeps on getting buffed every single patch, and they said it's only been about 2 weeks. They have yet to see any tournament results with this character, but they would not be surprised if he's actually higher than C. They're just putting him here right now because it's a bit of a question mark. They want to see how far the buffs take him. And then Gachikun was asking, you know, he gets buffed every year. What's actually holding this character back? And both Tokido and Mago said, well, starting every round at drink level 0 is the one thing that's still holding this character back from reaching that higher tier placement. And then the other thing they said about Jamie, Mago said he thinks he's S tier at 1 drink, which I think is crazy. And then Tokido said he thinks that's weird too. He said, but you can't say anything about Jamie on Twitter because if you say anything, you'll get a bunch of replies from people who have like private accounts and they'll get mad at you, they'll yell at you, but you can't reply to them. And then Mago said it's the same thing for Blanka players too. All right, next up is Aki, and I'm sure Broski is going to have some words to say about this C placement, or maybe he'd agree, because I know Broski doesn't feel like she got any meaningful buffs in the most recent patch. But for Aki, they said she got nice buffs with her target combo that poisons the opponent and leaves them closer when they get knocked down, so she gets better, like easier Oki situations. And forward heavy punch becoming -3 from -4 and like unpunishable is good, and that gave her better reach and gave her a little bit better utility in the mid-range. So they said, yeah, C tier, because they didn't give any other reasons other than that. I wish I had more for you guys, but this is a common theme in this video. Okay, next, Lily. I have no comments from the guys about Lily. They just kind of stuck her in C, and that was it. They just said, like, yeah, Hibiki plays her, and that was it. Okay, yeah. Anyways, Sagat next. Sagat's another weird placement for me, C tier. I don't know if it's, like, actually a C tier, but again, this is just me doing a translation. It's not really me giving my opinion, but C tier makes me scratch my head a little bit. Basically, they said that in the previous version, Sagat, he could basically solve any problem or any matchup just by having high combo damage. You just needed that one hit, that one combo, do 60%, and he was good. So on that note, Mago said he played Sagat for a bit, and he said he doesn't really feel like there are any matchups where Sagat has like a clear advantage over the other characters. Like it's not really like heavily Sagat favored. But there are a lot of matchups this character has, a big one being JP, where Sagat is in the disadvantage or in a losing matchup. So he said because of those factors, plus the damage nerf he got on crouching medium punch and losing that throw, like that tick throw situation on drive rush crouching medium kick, they stuck him in C tier. Is that actually going to be true once the season plays out and we see more tournament results? I don't know, but for now, that's where Sagat is. All right, next up, M.Bison. M.Bison, this thing, same thing that basically everyone's saying. He got damage buffs, but he didn't get any actual meaningful buffs that actually change him as a character or change his matchups. And he has the same problem as always. Amazing, stupid offense, but awful defense, so they stuck him in C tier. Okay, next we have Deejay. This is another interesting one because I know that Mena in his most recent tier list stuck Deejay either in A or the bottom. I think he put him in the bottom of S. So seeing him here in like the mid-level C is kind of interesting to me, but that's where they put him. And unfortunately, the only comment I have from these three guys about Deejay is they say a lot of people think he's tough to fight. Thanks. Thanks, Tokido. All right, next up, Kimberly. Tokido thinks this character has potential to become stronger and go higher up in the tier list once people figure out how to use her new 3 cans, like her bomb setups more. But at the end of the day, they said they don't think this character is like significantly better than anybody in B or A tier right now, and that's why they stuck her here, although she's clearly stronger than everybody below here. And that was their reasoning for their placement. All right, and I have to apologize to the Chun Li players, the first character in the D tier. I've got nothing on them. I watched the video 3 times. Maybe I missed something, but I don't think they made a comment about Chun Li. So yeah, she just gets placed into D tier. But if you're a Chun Li player, I'm pretty sure you know why she's there. I don't think she got any meaningful buffs this season. Nothing that actually fixes the core problems that Chun Li players have. Like her level 2 still drops against Fireball sometimes. So yeah, top of D. Next is Cammy. Cammy's another character where I don't really have any information. They just said they don't think she has power. That's it. I wish I had more. They just don't think she has power. Akuma too. Akuma's another one where I don't have too much info. They kind of like just skimmed over the lower tiers, but they spend a lot of time on some other lower tiers, which is really weird to me. But anyways, yeah, Akuma's in the D tier. All right, Ken in the D tier is the next character. And again, I have no explanation for his placement. Tokido just laughed when they talked about Ken and they stuck him here, and that was it. You know, it's always a bad sign when you're the player who used to main you for the first 2 seasons just laughs when you come up. But yeah, Ken's in D according to them. And then next, the last character at the end of D is going to be Alex. Alex, another character that got a ton of quality of life and some actual like important buffs, but they still put him in D. And their explanation for the D tier placement is Alex, when he gets up to you and he starts running his offense and he catches you, they use the word catch. I think they mean when he actually gets you into like a knockdown situation. They said it feels really oppressive and it's really scary and it's hard to stop him once he gets his game going. But he still suffers of having like really bad defense. You can safe jab his level 1, 2, and 3 when you knock him down because it's slow. So it's kind of the same idea as Bison, but just a bit less of a well-rounded kit than Bison, so they put him in D. Okay, so we are now onto the E tier, and they're talking about Dhalsim. So Dhalsim's a weird one, and they admitted it too. They said, because Dhalsim is really random. He sometimes gets really good tournament results. And that's why they think sometimes he's E, sometimes he's a little bit higher, but overall they settled on an E placement for Dhalsim. Mentioning other characters that don't usually do well in tournaments other than like one player, we've got Manon next. So for Manon, they said Manon actually does well as kind of like a counter meta pick because according to them, she can fight the Shotos really well. And they also said that a lot of Ryu, Luke, and Ken players don't like fighting Manon. They think it's a bad matchup. Their words, not mine again. So they said she's a good anti-meta pick against some characters, but she's just not really as strong as she needs to be to get consistent tournament wins, so they stuck her in E. Next up is Marisa. They said even though she got some buffs and she does have really high damage, they don't expect her to make any kind of splash on the tournament scene in year 4, and they just kind of went like, meh, and they stuck her in E. So yeah, that's Marisa. High damage, but they don't expect anything to actually happen with this character this year. All right, next, Juri. This is one where it makes me scratch my head a bit because I know Mago hates Juri. He mained this character for a long time, and he's very frustrated with the way Capcom has dealt with this character over the past 4 years. He has a lot of complaints, so I do think there is some bias in this E tier. I'm not a Juri player myself, so I don't know where I would place her on this list, but E feels a little bit low to me. And the only information they gave in this video was saying that nephew does well with her. And that's it. So yeah, Juri. All right, and now we're into the F tier. And I think this F tier is probably a surprise to nobody. Seems pretty standard to me for the F tier. If I had to make an F tier, I would probably put these characters here. Although for me, Yasmine that low, I don't think she's really that good, but I think it's still a little bit too early to stick her in F. But Honda and Ingrid, especially Honda, I think, yeah, you can put them in the bottom. So let me give you a quick breakdown. So for Yasmine, Gachikun said she's winning a little bit right now online because she's new and people don't know the matchup enough. But once people really learn the matchup and really like sit in training mode and figure everything out, he expects her to actually get weaker over time once people learn how to fight her properly. And Mago called her a half-baked character. And then everybody agreed and kind of laughed, and yeah, F tier. All right, Honda, the next character in the F tier. Mago thinks he got a decent nerf this patch. So that standing medium punch nerf, he thinks it was very impactful and really, really hurts him overall as a character in the tournament scene. They did say, though, that Unlike some of the other lower tier characters, Honda does have some good matchups against strong characters. And the only character they mentioned is Mai. He said like, yeah, my players don't like fighting Honda. He said, so that helps him a little bit in a tournament setting, but overall, they still think he's in the F tier. Okay, and then Ingrid. I wish I had more information yet again. What they said about Ingrid, Gachikun says, I think she's not strong, but it's Street Fighter 6 and she has damage, so sometimes she can be strong, and everybody kind of agreed and laughed. Again, a common theme from this video. I wish I didn't have to say that every time, but that's what they said. Ingrid, I think she just loses too many matchups. Like her fireball, just her pressure just doesn't work against some of the cast, or like a lot of the cast. They have really easy anti-fireball tools against her. It's hard to get her actual party started. It's hard for her to actually get access to that high damage because she just doesn't have the normals, and she doesn't really have like a Guile or Aki style fireball or like Akuma style fireball where you can really control the pace of the match and get in. So yeah, I think Ingrid, I don't know if she's an F tier character, but definitely one of the lower tier characters in this game for sure. But that's the end of this video, guys. This is their tier list. Are there any character tier placements here that really surprise you in either a positive way or a negative way? If there is, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. And if you want to see more content like this from me in the future, let me know. Hopefully, I think we're going to be seeing more tier lists from the Japanese players coming up soon because it is the beginning of the year. So we'll see how it goes. As always, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.